Hey y'all, it's X, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be doing the wide receiver rankings for the 2024 season. So obviously we did the running backs last time, quarterbacks the first time, so we're just going to keep going with these positions. I think I'm going to do probably corners and maybe like edge rushers, if they even have that. Probably just like, I might just stop at corners honestly, because that's probably the last position that's like fun to rank. After that it's just like, why are we ranking offensive tackles? Alright. But yeah, so here we have the tiers. We have elite, we have great. I don't know how I'm gonna separate these two, whether it means like, because like all three of these tiers could be your best wide receiver, and you'd be fine with that. Now, I don't know if I'll separate elite as in like best wide receiver, and if you have like literally nothing else, you're still happy. I don't know. We'll see. But we have elite, we have great, low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, slot only, because there are definitely some guys who are going to be harder to rank, like, for example, Deontay Johnson, where they don't play on the outside, like, at all. So, by default, you're kind of worse than, like, wide receiver 2s, like, even though your talent is, like, maybe on the same level. I might move this tier about, yeah, it might be something like this, where, like, if you're slot only, you're probably somewhere in this wide receiver 2-ish range. Cooper Kupp is like the only exception to this. But yeah, then you have wide receiver 3 and bench. So let's start this off with Adam Thielen, who last year, honestly, played like a wide receiver 2. I don't know if he'll continue that this year, but honestly, I mean, after his performance last year, I don't think you mind having him as a wide receiver 2. You could probably do better, but I think the production was still there, so I wouldn't really complain too much. A.J. Brown's the next name. He is going into elite after the amazing year he had last year. I mean, no questions about it. One of the best players in the league. The Titans to this day still really messed up just getting rid of him. And the Eagles have done a great job at like continuing to let him progress, and he is now one of the best wide receiver ones in football. Alec Pierce, probably wide receiver 3. He's fine. I think he's pretty talented, but you probably don't want him as your second best receiver. Probably more of a rotational guy who could be a deep threat for you. Amari Cooper, probably going to put into this great tier. I might be a little bit higher than him on most people. Most people, I think, probably rank him as like a low-end 1. I think he's better than that. I think he's been one of the most consistent receivers besides like Mike Evans over the past like 8 years of his career. Like, he's just been quietly amazing, especially since he got to the Browns and has had no quarterback play, and he still made it work. So I'm a lot higher on Amari Cooper than a lot of people, and that's going to show in this list. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to go into elite. Probably one of those guys who, yes, also is probably slot only, but he's so good at being that slot only guy that he is just a true one option. I mean, 1,500 yards last year, 10 touchdowns. That beats the slot only allegations where it's like, okay, that's holding you back. For him, that's like his biggest strength. Brandon Cooks probably at this point is probably bench. I don't really see much with Brandon Cooks. He's only getting older. Injuries are only getting worse. I don't really see him being a factor next year. Brandon Ayuk probably in this great tier as well. Not good enough to be elite. I mean, he obviously has the trade rumors going on right now. Very solid wide receiver 1. And I think the Niners are probably going to make a mistake if they choose to trade him and not just pay him. I feel like Deebo Samuel should be the guy who's kind of gone because he just doesn't do as much, but it's whatever. Calvin Ridley is probably the definition of a wide receiver 2. I feel like he's been that his entire career. I mean, he was drafted to do that when the Falcons had Julio Jones. I feel like every time he plays, it's just like, you're probably not good enough to be a 1, but you are very, very good to be a 2, and I would be very happy with that. CeeDee Lamb is obviously going to be in this elite tier. One of the best receiver seasons we've seen last year. I mean, he was amazing. Cowboys still can't get it done in the playoffs, though. They suck. But CeeDee Lamb is a very bright spot of that team. Chris Godwin, probably high-end 2. I don't know where, see, like 3 years ago, probably high-end 2, low-end 1. These days, Chris Godwin has definitely fallen off a little bit. I remember, like, I don't know if I've ever told this story before. I remember watching Chris Godwin in person at Penn State. That's how old I am now. I remember I went to a Penn State game that Chris Godwin, like, went off in. It was insane. He definitely caught like 3 touchdowns. And was Trace McSorley the quarterback? It might have been. Yeah, I think Trace McSorley probably was the quarterback. Yeah. But yeah, probably high end 2, lower. Probably just a wide receiver 2 to a high end 2. Yeah, I think Chris Godwin is good. I don't know. He's somewhere within this tier. I don't know if he's good enough to be a high end 2 with like, I don't know. I'm gonna put like Devontae Smith up here. I don't know. I think he has the potential to be that. Chris Olave, right now he's a low end wide receiver 1. I think this year he's probably gonna move up into this great tier. I think he's incredible, and he's probably gonna be one of those guys who, even though the Saints don't really have a lot of weapons, I think he'll still perform. Christian Kirk is going to be the first guy in the slot only tier. I mean, we saw him try and play on the outside in Arizona. Was not good. He went to Jacksonville, moved to the slot, and he was amazing. So, I think that's pretty simple as to why he is in the slot only tier. He's probably better than some of these guys, maybe better than Thielen, but I think the fact that he doesn't play on the outside definitely holds him back. Christian Watson, as of right now, is a wide receiver 3, and I don't really see that changing. I mean, he has the size and speed profile to actually get it done, but he just hasn't. A lot of drop issues for sure. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is probably going to be in this great tier. Nope. I think injuries are going to be a problem for him. Right now, he's going to be in the great tier. Probably move him a little bit lower. I mean, we saw last year that when he came back from injury, the Rams offense kind of changed from that like one-dimensional, just throw it to whoever's in the slot offense, and both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are going for like 8 catches a game. So both of them are going to be solid options this year, but I don't think any of them are going to be as dominant as we've seen in the past. Courtland Sutton, I'm probably just going to put in wide receiver 2. I mean, he is a 1 option right now, but I just don't, he's just injured so much. I know he's talented, but he's only getting older. He might make it into high end too, but I just feel like the production just hasn't been there over the past couple of years like it was like 3-4 years ago maybe. I don't know. Curtis Samuel, probably wide receiver 3. Not an amazing guy. Not even really a receiver, to be honest. He's more of like a gadget player, so he's fine. Darius Slayton, same deal. Well, not same deal, but like wide receiver 3, just a designated deep threat. Doesn't really do too much other than that. Darnell Mooney, I think could actually be a wide receiver 2 in the league. I think he's going to be better in Atlanta than he was in Chicago because they're going to have a better quarterback situation who's actually going to throw him the ball. So yeah, I think Darnell Mooney could actually be pretty solid this year. And a lot of people are probably going to forget about him, but I won't. Devontae Adams, probably still in this great to elite tier. He's probably still elite. I don't think he himself has really taken a step back. I think just the quarterback play was terrible. So he'll probably be in like the lower end of this elite tier. I like a lot of guys, so it's going to be definitely questionable as to who's going to be up there. DeAndre Hopkins last year still played like a high-end wide receiver too. I'm going to give him that respect. I don't know if he's going to take a step back this year. I think him having Calvin Ridley next to him is probably going to only benefit him and take some pressure off of him. But D-Up still has his hands. I mean, he's still the same go get the ball receiver that we've always known. The athleticism is the only thing that took a step back. So I'm still fine with putting D-Hop as like a high end too. Debo. Man, Debo is so hard to rank because he's not a receiver. He just is not a receiver. I'm probably going to put him in this low-end 1 tier. But you really don't want Deebo Samuel as your wide receiver 1. Like, we've learned that. We'll put him low-end 1. I think he's solid, but I definitely don't think that he is this incredible receiver. I think he... I want to say he has Travis Hunter syndrome. Not in, like, the two-way thing like Travis Hunter does, but, like, he gets overblown because he does a lot of different things. He's like a jack-of-all-trades, master of none. That's what it is. That's what I'm looking to say. Devontae Smith, high-end wide receiver 2, perfect position for him. I mean, could be a 1 on some teams, but really shines in that wide receiver 2 role. It's perfect for him. Deontay Johnson, another slot-only guy, very talented for being a slot-only guy. So he could get put in like this wide receiver 2 range, and I'd be fine with it. But that's why he's like kind of grouped up with them. So I'm fine with this. DJ Moore, probably a low-end 1. I like DJ Moore a lot. I think he's getting closer to being in that great tier. We just need to see him break out. And again, it really comes down to him never really playing with a good quarterback. Like in Carolina, he had like corpse of Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, and then he comes to Chicago and has Justin Fields. So, I mean, not great quarterbacks. So, hopefully with Caleb Williams, he can put up some crazy stats and show why he is incredible. DK Metcalf, I'm going to put in that same tier for the same reason. Below average quarterback play, besides Russell Wilson for like a couple of years. So, but Russell Wilson's one of those guys who puts up great like first half of the season stats and then kind of falls off towards the end. He's always in like week 8 MVP talks, and then after that, gone. So, I don't know. DK has very fluctuating like jump ball numbers where he's like winning a lot of contested catches and then like losing a concerning amount of them the next year. So it's very weird and inconsistent with him, but I still love him a lot. Drake London, projecting for next year, probably going to be a low-end 1. I'm trying to give that same treatment to everybody, but it's really hard to project with some people. But Drake London's probably going to get the ball thrown to him a lot, which is why fantasy researchers love Drake London this year. I am not a Drake London guy. I just don't see it just yet in terms of him getting separation to actually get the ball. And I know he's a jump ball guy, but I mean, we've seen how that's played out for people like DK Metcalf, where he's probably going to have a couple of big weeks, but I don't think overall he's going to be incredible. Elijah Moore, I actually think is a wide receiver too. I just don't think he's getting the shine to actually do it. I'm not really even projecting. I'm giving this to him straight off of talent, that he just doesn't really get to show off a lot. So it kind of makes me sad. But he was really good with the Jets. Even the Browns, when they gave him the opportunity to play, he was pretty solid. So I like him a lot. Gabe Davis is probably low-end wide receiver 2 if I had that as a tier. If I need to separate some of these guys, because we still have a lot of names to go, we will separate it, and then he'll be like low end. But Gabe Davis is fine. I don't know if you'd be in love with him being your wide receiver 2, but I don't know if you're mad at it either. Garrett Wilson, we're gonna put him in great for now. He is touching that elite tier. He is so close, but we just need to actually see him have the production to do it with an actual quarterback, and I think he'll be great. George Pickens, right now, is probably a low-end 1. I mean, he had an incredible year last year, and hopefully with some decent quarterback play this year from Russell Wilson, maybe Justin Fields gets in there. I hope that he can prove that he really is going to be that alpha receiver that we've all been waiting for him to become. I believe this is Jahan Dotson. Right now, he's a wide receiver 3, sadly. I want to see him get better. I really do. He had a down year last year, which is just something you don't like to see coming off of your rookie year, where it's like, he looks solid in his rookie year. Okay, let's build on that. And he does the opposite. So, very, very concerning to see that. But we'll see with him. I believe whoever made this list put Jake Bobo in here. I don't even think he's going to play like that. Something terrible would have to go, it would have to go terribly wrong with Jackson Smith and Jigba for Jake Bobo to touch the field. Jacoby Myers, definition of a wide receiver 2. Probably not high end, but I think he's really, really good in that role. He's been that with the Patriots, and I think with the Raiders, if they get a good quarterback, he could really, really turn it back up. Jamar Chase, elite. If I'm ranking these guys, which I'll do at the end, it'll probably be something like this for now. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably do something like this for now. Probably AJ over CD just because of overall consistency and not just going off of 1 year. JMO, wide receiver 3 right now. I mean, potential is way higher than that, but he just hasn't done it, so I can't really give it to him. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Projecting for this year, I really think that he's going to be a slot-only guy. Probably wide receiver 2 in terms of, I think he would probably be, that low-end wide receiver 2 in terms of production, but I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is probably just a slot-only guy in the NFL. But hopefully he can work his way out of that tier and be like a Deontay Johnson, who's probably pushing wide receiver 2, a Cooper Kupp, who is just great, so we'll see. Dontavian Wicks, bench. I don't really have any feelings towards him. He's fine. But I don't think he's like sure he could go wide receiver 3, but some guys are gonna have to be in this bench tier. I don't think he's bad, but I think he's fine. Jalen Waddle, same exact tier as Devontae Smith. I think they're like the same tier of player. Both drafted the same year. Both of them did the exact same thing in the rookie year, where they were the best wide receiver option on their team. Then their team goes and trades for this big X receiver or this big number 1 receiver. They get dropped down to that wide receiver 2 role and both shine in it. So they're just like a match made in heaven to be high-end wide receiver 2s. They are the staple of what this tier is. Jerry Jeudy, okay, we're definitely going to make a low-end wide receiver 2 tier. That's what's going to happen, because there's so many guys who I'm just like, I want you to be better than this. And wide receiver 2. So I'm going to probably put like you here, you here. You might just like start this tier off. I might even throw we need more names in the slot only tier, so we're gonna put JMS there, or JSN there. Yeah, I think these 3 guys are like low end. I really am not a Gabe Davis fan. I don't think he does anything that well, even contested catches, which is supposed to be his thing. Like, not even really supposed to be his thing. He's more athletic. He's like a deep threat, but he just doesn't. I don't know. I don't like him. Jordan Addison, out of respect for Kyrie Jackson and the fact that that tragedy happened, I'm just not going to rank Jordan Addison. I don't even want to talk about Jordan Addison, the football player, until we talk about Jordan Addison, the person. Second time in the past year where he has been pulled over for drunk driving, and then this time it was a week after his teammate was tragically killed in a car crash due to the other driver being drunk. Yeah, it's just very disappointing to see such a talented player just be so stupid. So, again, I don't want to talk about Jordan Addison, the football player, until Jordan Addison, the person, wakes up and actually makes better decisions. Because we talk about this all the time, where it's literally just as simple as take an Uber. Don't get drunk enough to the point where you can't drive. It's just irresponsible, it's selfish, it just hurts. Because, I mean, it really does just hurt. So, we're not going to be talking about Jordan Addison as a receiver in this video. And I really hope that the best thing that can come out of this situation is he gets his license revoked and he can just wake up and play football. Maybe hire somebody to drive him home. Like, you guys have the money to do that. I honestly bet if you went to the Vikings and said, hey, could you guys give me a personal driver so that I just don't have to worry about this kind of thing, I bet they would probably do it because they want to see him play. Maybe it might come out of a tiny bit of his salary, but like, I think that's worth it in the end. Josh Downs, probably low end 2. I really think Josh Downs could be a great player, man. I want to see it happen. I'm a little bit concerned with them drafting Adonai Mitchell, and I believe a couple days ago I saw some report where he got hurt, which means Adonai Mitchell might be able to slide in there and take that job. But I really do like Josh Downs as a player, so we're gonna put him in low end 2 for now. I think he has potential to move up this list, and I really want to see it happen. I believe this is Josh Reynolds. You are... I feel like he's actually a decent wide receiver 3. Maybe even a low end 2. I wouldn't put him low end 2. I would probably put him like top of wide receiver 3. He's actually really solid. He'll have some weeks where he can just definitely come in and get 4 catches for 40 yards. Just be a chain mover. And I think there's value in that, for sure. Next name here, I believe, is Josh Palmer. I think he's going to be slot only as well. Going to be forced to be like the best option for this team next year. But I don't know. I feel like Josh Palmer is probably more of a slot guy. I think he's somebody who's probably going to be more productive in the slot. Justin Jefferson, probably bench, 1,000 yards and seven touchdowns. Not really great numbers for his standard. Definitely had a down year last year. So, Justin Jefferson can go to the bench. Joking. Obviously, he's like the best receiver in the league. But it's crazy that stat line's a thing where he's never had a season under 1,000 yards. Even after missing like 7 games last year, he still ended up with 1,000 yards and like 7 touchdowns. It's incredible. Keenan Allen's probably going to be low end 1 as well. He had a monster year last year. I don't even know if I'm going to draft him in fantasy, but he had a monster year last year. The person who drafted him, I think, won the Super Bowl in my fantasy league. He was incredible. So yeah, Keenan Allen's going to be somebody that we're looking for this year. I think him and DJ Moore are definitely going to be... Honestly, I might even just put him in great. He had the production that DJ Moore didn't. I think Keenan Allen's probably just right about. I think he's like looking very similar to Cooper Kupp right now, especially in beard. Kendrick Bourne be putting up numbers for the Patriots sometimes, but I still feel like he's probably just a wide receiver 3. I might move some of these guys down to bench, low-key. Like, Alec Pierce is fine. He might move down to bench. We'll see. Keon Coleman, if I'm projecting for him this year, I think he's going to play like a high-end 2. I just think he's going to get that amount of targets, and it's going to force him to perform. And I love Keon Coleman. He's a really funny person. And sometimes that usually translates to, oh, you're going to be great in the league. I'm joking, but I'm also kind of not. I don't know, I feel like the funny personalities always just get a shine, and then it helps their confident players like that at receiver just usually end up being good. And I love to see that. I believe this is KJ Osborne. Probably wide receiver 3. I think he's solid enough to be a player. Ladd McConkey, I think we're probably just going to put in this wide receiver 2 tier. I think similar thing for the Chargers. He's going to be forced to perform. Maybe I put him in the same tier as Keon Coleman, though. I don't know. I don't know what the stat... I feel like McConkey isn't like an X receiver, but he might get more yards. I don't know. I feel like Keon Coleman's probably going to take a lot of Stephon Diggs' like targets, and they're probably going to use him a lot like Diggs. I kind of want to put them in the same tier because they're in very similar situations. They're just different players. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna move Keon Coleman down here because there's gonna be a reason for it, which you guys will see very soon. Actually, you'll see it right now because I don't know who this is. Looks like a rookie receiver, but I just couldn't find who this was online. So, sorry to whatever rookie this is, but we're going to have to skip you. Malik Neighbors, I'm going to put him in high end too. I think talent, I've come over on the fact that I think Daniel Jones is going to be so bad that's going to ruin Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be incredible. Simply because of how he plays. Right, he's going to be a guy who's going to be great after the catch. So even if Daniel Jones can't hit him on these like super deep balls, giving him a slant, he might work that like Odell used to. So he might still be able to go for 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, just off of his own run after catch traits. So I love Malik Neighbors. I was so happy when we picked him. I was fine with him, Marvin Harrison Jr., and even Rome Odunze, but I wouldn't have loved Rome Odunze if either of those two were on the board. I honestly would have just taken a quarterback at that point, or like Joe Alt if he was there. But yeah, Neighbors is incredible. I think he's gonna play somewhere within this tier of guys, and I just think it's going to be Daniel Jones that holds him back. So until we get an actual wide receiver, actual quarterback, he might not be fully unleashed. Hollywood Brown is next. Actually, today I was just reading a thing where he got hurt, so probably a low end 2. I don't know. He's fine as a deep threat. But he's very similar to, like, Gabe Davis to me, where I'm just like, you kind of do this one thing and you're not amazing at it. Like, you're not Tyreek Hill. You're a deep threat, but I don't know. Marquise Brown is just fine. Marvin Harrison Jr., I am very prepared to die on the hill that he is going to perform like a low-end wide receiver 1 this year. Similar to George Pickens. I feel like I would take him over all of these guys. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be incredible. Kyler Murray's a solid enough quarterback, and I think he's going to get him the ball and really allow him to perform at an elite level. Michael Gallup retired, so we might not rank him, but he got signed, and he was just kind of on the bench, so I will just put him there. Michael Pittman Jr., definition of a low-end 1, probably somewhere right here. I really like him for the Colts. I think he's going to be great. Anthony Richardson loves throwing him the ball. He gets like 14 targets a game. Like, his target share is so insane that he's a really, really good fantasy pick for anybody asking. Mike Evans, still in this great tier. He hasn't really dropped off at all, so good for him. Mike Williams, when healthy, definition of a high-end wide receiver too. Just this jump ball machine who goes up and gets it, can make crazy big plays. He just needs to stay healthy, but if he can, he's going to be incredible, and I think playing next to Garrett Wilson will really help actually the both of them out. Nico Collins, I don't want to go off of 1 year, so I'm probably going to put him in high-end 2, but like low-end 1, it's really staring at me right now, because he was just incredible last year, and the only reason that I actually would be fine with going off of 1 year is because it was CJ Stroud, and CJ Stroud's just going to be incredible. So you know what? We'll put him in like this low-end 1 tier, probably around the same spot as these guys. Maybe even over. No, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. will probably be better. Puka Nacua. I think he's going to be in the same tier as these guys, probably high-end wide receiver too. We're probably done with the crazy Puka Nacua runs until Cooper Kupp gets hurt again. It's simple as that, honestly. Quentin Johnston, right now, bench. I don't know if I'm going to see him getting better. I know receivers can have drop issues and then get better. It was bad last year, man. And he wasn't anything like I thought he was coming out of TCU. I thought he was this big, deep threat who had a lot more speed than he ended up testing out with. The hands were not there, so at this point, I just don't really know what he does well. Rashee Rice is another one I don't really want to rank. For the same deal, but at least it was only your first defense. Just be better, please. Probably somewhere in this wide receiver 2 tier. I don't think he's good enough to be a 1. He was solid for the Chiefs last year, but I think he could probably just be upgraded on as a wide receiver 1. Rashid Shaheed is like a deep threat, probably low end 2. Designated deep threat. I don't know if I'd be happy with him being the second best receiver on my team, so I honestly, high end 3. Have fun. Rashad Bateman, as of right now, is probably a wide receiver 3. He hasn't really lived up to expectations, sadly. So, honestly, no, I'll be nicer to that. I'll put him in low end 2. I still think there might be a little bit of something still in there. Ricky Pearsall, I think this all pertains to if Brandon Ayuk is gone or not. If Brandon Ayuk is staying, probably wide receiver 3 for Pearsall. If he leaves, where the hell did he just go? Oh, if Brandon Ayuk gets traded, probably somewhere like right here in low end wide receiver 2. And I think because the Niners are like actively looking to trade him, I think we'll just put him here. Predicting that he gets moved. Adunze, I'm probably gonna put him at like high of the low end wide receiver 2, simply because there are 2 incredible receivers in his way of playing. I still think he'll get snaps for sure. I think he's gonna be on the field a lot, and I don't think that. I mean, the Bears are probably gonna run a lot of 2 tight end sets because of Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet, but I think there are gonna be a lot of times where they're running 3 wide receivers like more. So. Romeo Doubs, probably low end 2, and you're just fine with that. Not too much to say. Rondale Moore's this gadget guy, probably wide receiver 3, very similar to Curtis Samuel. I think I'd rather have Rondale Moore, but he's fine. Stephon Diggs, I don't want to overreact to 1 year of bad play, but it was 1 year of bad play where he got absolutely no separation. And it got to the point where the Bills were basically just like, you're not even, like, him being a diva is not even, like, worth the production that you're getting out of him. So there's a part of me that really wants to move him down into that great tier. But, like, I won't. I'll still leave him in, like, the bottom of elite. But some questions are being raised about him. Tank Dell, probably a wide receiver 2 for most teams. I think it's going to suck for him this year with Stephon Diggs coming in and probably demanding a lot of targets that Tank Dell could probably get. But Tank Dell was really, really good as a wide receiver 2 last year. So I know that he has the potential to be up here with these guys. T. Higgins, another guy, literally in the same tier as these 2. His rookie year, he was the wide receiver 1 and was solid at that. Yes, year 2, they get a better wide receiver 1, and T. Higgins just shines as a wide receiver 2. perfect place for him. Terry McLaurin, I am going to put into elite. I know a lot of people are going to be like, huh? Terry McLaurin is one of the best receivers in the league, and he has never had a good quarterback. It's not his fault. So I hope Jaden Daniels can change that. I love Terry McLaurin. He's incredible. So I'm not going to argue over it. If you want to fight in the comment section, you're really fighting over him being here or here. So have fun with that. Tyler Lockett, probably still high-end 2, somewhere in this range. I think he's still solid. Declining for sure, but I think he's still going to be solid. Tyreek Hill, slot only probably. Maybe low-end 2, if he's lucky. I don't know. No, he's elite. Probably right here. Wandale's definition of slot only. Xavier Worthy. Oh my god. I saw this clip the other day of him getting bench pressed in practice. Like they were doing a press drill. He got absolutely shoved off the line and then just boomsticked by a linebacker when he was trying to run his route. It was so sad to see. It was atrocious. Year 1, I think, I mean, if Marquise Brown's injury is serious, he could move up into this low-end 2 thing. I don't know. We'll see if he ends up being Tyreek Hill, but I highly doubt it. He's just too small and doesn't play big like Tyreek did. Zay Flowers, probably the definition of a wide receiver 2. He's working his way into that high-end 2 space. I think he's really, really good for sure. But yeah, that's going to be it for the rankings. I'm not going to order these receiver tiers because that would take me an hour to do. I'd be sitting here having Chris Godwin and Tyler Lockett debates, which I just don't want to do in my head right now. So these tiers are not in order, besides really the elite tier. That's really it. The elite and maybe the great tier I'd pretty much have ordered correctly. I would maybe move somebody like a Keenan Allen up here, a Mike Evans up here. Yeah, I would probably do something like this. Maybe even like this. Yeah, that's going to be it. So let me know if you guys really enjoyed these lists, and then we'll probably have cornerbacks out next, and then I think for the rest of our off-season content, we might do some like NFL quizzes or some stuff like that. Or I don't know. We'll see. But that's going to be it from me, y'all. Remember to leave a like and sub if y'all messing with the content, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.